Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends, and welcome on JCB Live. This is an extra happy hour. You're getting 5 bonuses in one. We have an Academy Award nominated artist. We have a Grammy Award winner. We have one of the most charming, sexy, fabulous, enthusiastic, beautiful, enormously talented artist that is going to come on the show. Can you believe, dear friend, can you believe she performed with one of the most incredible men of all time? His name happens to be Michael Jackson. Yes. She's done Madonna. She's done all of them. Dear friends, help me to introduce Saida Garrett. Yes!
That was very well timed, my dear.
Ay, ay, ay. So, Saida, can we have a cheer together?
Yes.
I know you typically drink from the bottle, right? Is it unusual that you drink from a glass?
My bottle drinking days are long gone, my dear.
I doubt that. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I think we need to have a toast to our good friend Lauren Hoffman, who introduced us, because without him, we would have not
Lauren,
circumstances.
thank you, my dear. Thank you.
So, Saida, first of all, cheers. We're drinking with our friend John Legend here. This is our LVE wine. And I want you to describe right in, what do you feel, what do you sense, what do you experience when those bubbles are penetrating your body and your mind?
Okay.
Mmm.
Oh my God.
Ooh la la.
I love a good rosé. This is delicious. John, LV, well done. Well done. Nice. Mm.
So it's a real collaboration with our friend who you know. I know you do know him well, John Legend.
Yes, yes. Super effervescent, and it's really juicy. And I love it's very crisp on the palate. I'm not really accustomed to describing champagne. I'm just used to drinking it, but it's really delicious. Thank you. Rosé is my favorite champagne. Good on you guys. Nicely done.
Do you, when you take a bath, do you actually drink rosé bubbles? Saida, I could feel you doing unusual things.
Can you? Have you been peeping
I feel
in my
it.
windows? I wonder. Peeping in my windows. This is really good. I'm going to be so tipsy by the end of this segment. It's insane.
Well, then, Saida, you're not shy whatsoever. Why don't you start with something to bring us into your world? Because from Campton in LA all the way to who you are today, one of the most amazing artists of all time, you started with a true talent in life, is that voice that you have and that beauty that you have. So do you want to bring us into your voice right away and
well, you know what?
do a little
I never met a man quite like you, doing all he can, making wine dreams come true. You're strong and you're smart, you've taken my heart, and I'll give you the rest of me too. You're the perfect man for me. I love you, I do. Cheers.
I love it. Bravo. So tell us about that amazing song. I know everybody knows, but for the one who are in Europe.
That song garnered me my Grammy statuette. It's a song I wrote for the Jennifer Hudson's character in the film version of Dreamgirls. And it was really an amazing journey because I was on set when they shot it, and Jamie Foxx was on set as well. And it was the scene between Jamie Foxx's character and Jennifer Hudson's character. And in this song, the music had to say what Jennifer Hudson felt, her character felt, but couldn't tell Jamie Foxx's character. So the song had to tell him how she felt. And it's, I think it served its purpose.
Wow. So, Saida, when and how did you discover you had such a voice in your life? How old were you and how did you take it from there? Because we all look for idealistic inspiration.
Well, I was very young. My mother would take me around as the visitor to different churches, and she would just sort of prop me up on stage to sing at these different churches because her father was a Baptist minister. And that kind of set me apart from my sister, who was getting a lot of attention with, my family being the youngest between the two of us. And so I knew that that made me kind of different from her and a little bit special. So uh, it didn't really pay off until I won my first talent show in junior high school. So I knew I had something, and I was sold on singing for a living when I was 16 years old or 15 years old, and I did this recording session for an R&B artist named DJ Rogers. And he invited me to come to the studio and sing because one of his background singers didn't show up. So I wound up singing background on his next record after the album Say You Love Me. That was the biggest. I was on the one after that. And I had so much fun that day singing with these ladies who'd been singing their entire careers. And here I am, this young 15-year-old kid, but they were very generous in spirit with me. And I learned a lot that day, and I had so much fun. I was just on a musical high for like a week. And then 2, 3 weeks after that, I got a check. That's when I was done. I said, this is what I want to do. If I can have that much fun and get paid, I'm in. I'm so in. Yes.
What a gratification. So, do you want to give us a little excerpt as a Frenchman, born in Burgundy? Every year, very luckily, or twice a year, in fact, we had the gospel, American style, and loving it. And recently, I was at the Madeleine Church in Paris, famous church built by Napoleon. Amazing acoustic, and we had the New Orleans, and then we had the following week the New York Bronx God. It was insane. So, do you want to give us a little vibration now? Are you willing to do that?
I don't think I have that vibration. Like, I wouldn't even. I don't. The most gospel I get is when I sing "Man in the Mirror." That's pretty much.
Well, let's do that then.
Okay. Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat. This wind is blowing my mind. Yeah, see the kids in the street. Not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? Oh, in a deep blue sky, somebody's broken heart had a washed out dream. Yeah, they follow each other on the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no massage gonna be on any cover. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Unbelievable. You know, Michael Jackson happens to be one of my favorite artists of all time. So, how did that come around? How did that come about your way to? I mean, I know you've done Quincy Jones to all the top artists, obviously, in the United States and beyond. But that one, give us a little bit of a story. How
That's exactly how it happened. Through Quincy Jones, I was signed as a songwriter to his publishing company, and he was at the end of finishing what we now know as the Bad album, and he needed one more song, and he had a group meeting of all his West Coast artists,
Yeah.
songwriters, I think there was like 6 or 8 of us. I don't even remember. And I walked in the meeting a little bit late, and I sort of slipped into the corner and started taking copious notes, and took those notes to my friend Glenn Ballard, whom up until this point I'd only been his demo singer. But I loved his demos so much, and I felt this was my chance to write a song with him. And I thought the whole idea of trying to write a song for Michael Jackson was just the right lure. So we ended up
I know.
getting together, but cut to 2 years before this day that he and I sat down to write the song. I was writing another song with a jazz pianist named John Beasley, very famous jazz guy. And rudely, he picked up the telephone to answer it while we were in the middle of writing, and I just couldn't believe the audacity that he had. And I'm flipping through my lyric book going, I can't believe he actually is taking a call, and he's saying things like, no, I'm not doing anything, I'm not. And I'm thinking, he's not doing anything? What? And I'm just seething. I'm flipping through my lyric book. And he says, the man? What man? Oh, the man in the mirror. I wrote down man in the mirror. 2 years later, I'm sitting at Glenn's studio, and I'm flipping through the same book, and Glenn says, what kind of song does Quincy want? I said, I don't really know. He didn't really say. He said, a hit, you know. So Glenn says, okay. So he gets up to go over to the keyboard and turn it on just to get a sound from the keyboard, and he starts playing these chords. Dum, 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 dum. And I'm flipping through this lyric book, and for some reason, the phrase "man in the mirror," every time I get goosebumps, every time I tell this story. The phrase "man in the mirror" virtually popped off the page. I couldn't write the lyrics fast enough. In fact, I was like, Glenn, and I was just trying to get it all out. I couldn't get it out quickly enough. And in like 7, 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes, whatever, we had the first verse and chorus to Man in the Mirror. So it was a Wednesday afternoon. So he said, you go home, you finish the lyric, I'll finish this track, and we'll demo the song on Friday. Great. I go to his house Friday, early evening. We finish the song after the Quest publishing offices were closed. But Glenn and I knew that we had a good song. What we didn't know was if Quincy would think so, and we didn't know if Quincy thought so, if Michael would also think so. So we just kind of went with our gut, and I couldn't wait until Monday to turn it into the publishing. I called Quincy. I said, Glenn and I have written this great song. He said, great, turn it into the office. I'll hear it on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm like, no, Quincy, can I just come by the house and drop out this cassette? He said, no, I have 12 suits in my dining room. I'm in the middle of a meeting. I can't. I'm like, Quincy, can I just, okay, Quincy has 5 daughters. Okay. He knew this argument we were having was futile. So he said, all right, then he hung up the phone. So I went to his house and I dropped off this. Repeat?
Yeah, tenacity, persistence got you into the door. Congratulations. Audacity, as you said.
So I knocked on the door and I asked the housekeeper if Quincy was available. So she went to get him. He came out of his dining room and he opened the dining room doors. And behind him was 12 suits sitting at his dining room table looking at me like all kind of negative energy, like, you know, time is money. You know, I was getting all that daggers. So Quincy came to the door and I gave him this cassette. And I said, Quincy, the only thing I ask is that can you please just get back to me, just as soon as you can. He was like, all right. So he closed the door. 2 or 3 hours later, I'm at home making dinner. And the phone rings. Quincy Jones says to me, my nickname is Sid. So he said, Sid, this is the best song I've heard in 10 years. And I'm like, then he said, but, and you know how Charlie Brown's teacher, what Charlie hears when the teacher, that's what I heard. I just wanted to live in best song in 10 years. Just let me rest in that for a moment. And then I heard him say something like, but we've been in the studio with Michael for 2.5 years. Michael has yet to record anything he hasn't written. I don't know, Sid. We'll see. I was like, okay. A couple of days later, I get a phone call, and Quincy says, and I quote, "We in the studio recording your old piece of song." And I'm like, and then he says, but, then he says, but, and then again, I don't really hear what I'm living in. They're in the studio, they're recording my song. Yes, yes. He says, but Michael has a problem with the chorus. He says he wants the chorus to be, and he says, hold on, Sid. And then I hear, and then Quincy said, yeah, Michael really wants you to bring home the chorus, and it needs to be twice as long, and he need hold on, Sid. And then I hear, and Quincy said, hold on a minute. Quincy Jones puts Michael Jackson on my phone. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was coming up, it was all about the Jackson 5, and Michael
Of
was
course.
my husband. I had cousins who had the other brothers, but Michael was my husband. So in my little bitty brain, I am now on the phone with my husband. But I didn't want to be what I was, like total fangirl.
Of course.
Inside, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But outside, cool as a cucumber, like a hotel operator. He gets on the phone, and I said, how can I help you?
That's a good hotel operator.
He said, the first thing Michael Jackson said to me was, I love this song. I was like, thanks. The second thing Michael Jackson said to me was, and I love your voice. I'm like,
Big deal.
yeah, it was kind of a big deal.
Master of all. And you, so, Saida, you came up with the lyrics, you wrote that song, you presented to them. So, luckily in the world of songwriting, this is your ownership. You own the song, right?
Yes. So much so that since I'm the only one here to brag on me, let me just say, I was really moved when Michael actually filmed me singing the demo again in a lower key. Because the demo was in my key.
So what's the lower key? Do you want to?
It's the key that he recorded it in.
Yeah. So can you do it in the lower key just to show us?
I do not have that capability because I don't know what key it starts in right now. So I do not, unfortunately. Anyway, just know that the demo was in a higher key than Michael was comfortable with his voice. So I was asked to sing it in a lower key, and that's where I met him that day. I didn't know he was going to be in the studio. I thought I was just going to the studio to redo the demo, and he was there, and it was crazy because after, our introduction, and I still was like, I wanted to be the opposite of fangirl, so I was still very calm and collected,
Yeah.
like I was meeting the landlord or the grocer, and then I went. Quincy said, so why don't you go in the studio and sing it in the lower key? I was like, all right. So I stand up to walk in the studio, and Mr. Jackson stands up too. And he has on his shoulder, it was the 80s, so he has this huge video camera on his shoulder, and he's following me into the studio with this camera on his shoulder. And I had never told this story before until Spike Lee's movie about Michael showed the actual footage of Michael following me into the recording area with this huge camera on his shoulder. And I asked him, I said, what are you doing? He said, I want to film you. I said, why? He said, because I want to sing it like you. I said, great, Mike. All my friends are going to believe me when I tell them.
I love it.
It was so much fun. Those were like It was, those are dreamy, heady,
Well, and
crazy
you
fun
lived it.
times.
And we're going to talk a little bit about your background, but what's another moment with an amazing artist that you wish to share for all of us to dream that audacity, persistent talent takes you anywhere? And
Well,
maybe you want to tell us even more as you refill. I'm going to refill with you. Tell us what this wine makes you feel or how it makes you feel.
like loose lips, it's delicious, and it's so
Mm.
it's very effervescent and it's exciting in my mouth. It's like a party in my mouth every time I take a sip. But I've
Ooh,
had some pretty amazing
Luke.
touring experience. I've toured with Sergio Mendes and Quincy Jones, of course. But I toured with Madonna on the Reinvention tour, and that was insane.
Yes.
She's
My
a
other
very
famous
hardworking
phenomenal
artist.
artist.
Yeah. Repeat.
No, I was just going to say Michael Jackson, Madonna, raised in the 80s myself. I'm a huge fan. So
They were it, right? They were everything.
share with us. That must have been amazing.
It was so much fun. We rehearsed for I think maybe a month or two for the summer tour, the Reinvention tour. And Madonna is such a hard worker because she'll be the first to tell you, I'm not the best dancer, I'm not the best singer, but she is the hardest worker. She knows that she has to do more to put out what she wants to put out and of value. And I really respect her work ethic for that. Madonna is no joke when it comes to promoting Madonna. She's fierce. She's, I learned a lot touring with her. Really, she's amazing.
What tour did you do with her that was the most memorable to you? Because I
I
know
was
you've.
on one. I was on the Reinvention tour. Yeah, and speaking of persistence and diligence, uh, I was having lunch at a restaurant, a very famous restaurant, and I was in the private dining area by myself, enjoying myself with myself, having lunch. And in walks Madonna and Guy Ritchie. And I've met her before. I sang on the True Blue album. I was one of the singers on the True Blue album. She walked in and she says, "Hey, Saida," and I said to her, "Hey, Mrs. Ritchie." That made Guy like, who calls her that, right? So oh, the phone ringing. So I said, they sat down, we had a great lunch. And so she said, "So what are you doing?" And I happened to know that she was having issues with one of her background singers. So without missing a beat, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm waiting for so and so to mess up so I can take her place." And Madonna laughed. Cut to 2 years later, I get a phone call. "Sal, you want to go on tour with me?" That was the Reinvention tour.
Fantastic.
She thought about that meeting that we had because when I said that I was waiting to take so and so's place, she was like, "Oh, okay," and she laughed, but she remembered that and called me for that gig. It was great.
And what makes you who you are today in that sense? Audacious, seizing the moment, opportunistic. Besides your amazing talent, is it that little girl at 13 who figured out she had that talent, or tell us what made you who you are today, from Campton to this little girl and to this phenomenal, successful, incredible artist.
I think it's a combination of being a daddyless daughter, not really having like a rudder, you know, not really having like a father figure to look up to. I think, and my mother was a very strong woman. She was the first, well, the second feminist I've ever known. My grandmother was the first feminist, my paternal grandmother. She was amazing. She owned, her parents were slaves, and she ended up owning the house that she lived in and other properties in the area that she lived in, which she lived. So she was a property owner, and she took care of her home. She didn't have she started off as a housekeeper, but she ended up being a landowner and an apartment owner, and she was very happy to take over for my mother, who really had other things to do rather than raise these two kids that were like, ugh. We were kind of a nuisance for her. And my dad kind of left the scene when my sister and I were 5 and 6. So I think being a daddyless daughter, having to be on my own with a mother who's just fiercely independent and told me, you don't need no man to, be who you want to be. You don't need a man to pay your rent. So I never fell into that trap where I latched onto a guy and I was stuck with him because I had no other choice. I always had options. Mother would always give a good daughter some options. So I felt like I could do what I wanted to do without the help of family. Like, there was no trust fund, there was no prep school, there was none of that. In fact, we moved so much, I missed a lot of the regular school programs that were offered to any student who went to public school. But we moved a lot, so my educational record is a bit sketchy. But I graduated high school at 16 or 17 and then went to a private Muslim school that was non-accredited. But I was elevated a grade. So by the time I went back to high school, I was with my graduating class. So I ended up graduating with my high school graduating class. Is that answer your question? And then being in the right place at the right time, I guess. Being open and available. You have to be open and available. Like, I didn't have a plan for the way my career turned out, but I didn't have to. I just had to see the end. I didn't have to see the how am I going to get there. That's not my job. My job is to focus on the end results. And that's what I tend to do. Like, if I focused on how many songwriters were writing for this Michael Jackson project, I never would have written, I can't write better than this. I'm not a better writer than this. I didn't even think about it, to be scared about it. I just did what I could do, what I thought. I wanted to write something that I thought Michael would want to say to the world. And that's how Man in the Mirror came about.
That's amazing. So, Saida, why did you change your name?
Because my name, my given name was Deborah Christine Garrett. Yes. And I don't mind Deborah, but no one ever called me Deborah. They called me Debbie and Deb and Dee, and I freaking hated it. So my mother became a Muslim when I was 13 years old, and I didn't want to be a Muslim because I'd been raised up to that point. We were Christians, and I was fine with that. I was really fine. So in order to sway me over to Islam, my mother offered that I can change my first name. So I went about the business of choosing not Saida at first. I had another name for 24 hours. And I say I had it for 24 hours because I literally had it for 24 hours. I told my friends what my new name was, and I thought it was beautiful. It was Sakina.
Oh, beautiful.
I don't remember what it meant, but it was Sakina, and they immediately began calling me Zucchini. So I changed it to my second choice, Saida.
And how does it feel to change your name?
Yeah, I was 13 years old. And so funny, once I did that, no matter what, how loud the tone got, no matter how fiercely she called my name, if I didn't hear Saida, I ignored it. Until she called me the name that I was wanting to.
And that, here you became. Well, I'm gonna, for someone who evolved their names as well, let's have a toast to you and John, who became Mr. Legend as well. So we all evolve in
that's right.
personalities. So to your beautiful glass you're having, to the irresistible temptation of wanting to be who you are, I will have a toast to Saida.
I'll toast to that. Thank you.
So now you're going to describe this one, because this is deep, this is rich, this is intense. This is like the next song you're to be singing for us. I know you have LV Rosé in that little...
I don't know that I have enough.
So now we're tasting a Napa Valley Cabernet. So this is all about the blood of the energy and the harmoniousness and, you know, really the passion, the inspiration of John Legend, who makes this wine with us. So we partners on this great wine named LVE, Legend Vineyard Exclusive.
Oh, Legend Vineyard exclusive. Delicious. Mm. All these
Did you say
wines are
inclusive, or did you say explosive, or did you say exclusive?
explosive.
Ooh, I love this. What do you think? I need your vocal cord to tell me what you
Fine.
think. What I think. You know, this is Placido Domingo. Oh, Pavarotti. You know, I'm more on the classical side. You know.
Do you? What is your hobby other than this delicious wine?
Well,
And
besides John Legend, who I love, I need to tell you very truly, the two iconic artists, but we'd love to hear more about who you work with and all the great, unbelievable nominations you've had and awards. I'm a huge fan, as you are, of Madonna and Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones and all the one you work with all the time. And I'm enormously, you know, a fan of what they've done. So I love as well the very classical opera, from ladies to men to I'm a big fan of powerful resonating voice that as you listen to them bring layers of vibration within the structure of your skeleton and body. You know, it makes your flesh go up and transcend and ascend.
I have a great story about that. I was working with Quincy Jones on his iconic Back on the Block album, which was Sarah Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, uh, um, Barry White. It was like Al Jarreau. It was like one of their final album projects to work on before they passed, and Miles Davis as well. So I was in the studio the day that Barry White recorded his part on a song that I wrote with Quincy Jones called Secret Garden.
Yeah.
And Quincy and Barry were in a little alcove speaking. And they were right between the engineer's booth and this alcove and then the vocal recording area on the other side of where they were standing. So in order to get to the booth on the other side of them, I had to go through between the two of them out the door because it was wall to wall. It was just a little alcove, and Barry White is not a little man. He's not the little man. So he's against the wall, and so I'm standing waiting for a break in their conversation because they're deep in conversation, and I'm standing there, and Barry starts talking to Quincy. When I walked up, Quincy was talking. Barry starts answering Quincy's question. And I am telling you, I stood there and his voice was so resonant. My ribs were, his voice was vibrating my ribs. And I said to him, "Excuse me, Mr. White, can you just be quiet? Because you are inside me right now." It was insane. His voice was so deeply resonant. My rib cage was vibrating. It was the craziest feeling I've ever felt. No other human has ever made me feel that way. A physical reaction to the tone in your voice made my rib cage vibrate.
And I could see that you feel energy,
Oh
Saida.
God, yes. Yeah. We all do. Some of us just don't pick up on the fact that we do.
Yeah, but you pick frequency, you pick energy, you pick vibration. You're very magnetic as well. I could see that. I could see why you've been so successful in your world, because not only you're talented, but you know how to convince people to utilize your talents to the ultimate phenomenal harmony. So congratulations.
I'm working on. I want to be like John. I mean, I worked with him at the Bermuda Jazz Festival with Quincy Jones. We performed back to back, and it was really cool watching him do what he does live. I don't go to many concerts because after you've toured with Madonna and Michael Jackson, I'm just like I'm kind of done. I don't want to be in that massive audience because I know that kind of crowd can get. Uh, there's no controlling that kind of crowd, so that kind of scares me. So I've been singing and I've been writing songs for television and for musicals, bound for Broadway, and I'm a knitter, knitwear designer, and crocheter.
Ooh, a
I've
crochet
been
as
spending a
well.
lot of this year doing that since the whole Broadway is shut down and everything's sort of closed up shop.
Very cool, though. Is there a little insight you want to share with us now of a song or lyric that you want to tell us about that we're going to see on TV, or we're going to see in a movie or in a video or anything else?
Hold on, my husband's giving me a note.
It's good to have your husband as your advisor. I love it. And you listen to him. It's good. Finally, a woman listening to her husband. Thank you, God.
Let me, before I do that, can I just show you one thing?
Of course.
This is one of my crochet pieces.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yes.
Ah! When you said
cashmere
crochet, I
crochet.
thought it was going to be very grandma crochet. This is big time.
Yeah.
So tell us about this. This is unbelievable.
This is a tunic that I crocheted and did a sequin applique on top.
Wow.
And
I love, by the way, as well, in addition to your crochet jacket, did you design that beautiful silk that
I
you...
did not. This is Johnny Was. But this is mine.
Oh, I want it. I want it. Do you sell them?
I might be able to make one for you, but I don't sell them, no.
Oh,
This is knitted
this is insane.
on a huge set of needles, knitting needles.
What? How long did it take you to do?
A weekend.
No.
Because it was so big, it was easy.
Hey, do me a favor, if you would, and dear friends, it's going to be online, I know. You're all getting crazy in the chat. Do you sell those? Oh,
My
I
last
want that too.
This is crocheting.
I want it.
And this is my ode to Frida Kahlo.
Oh, God, this is very Frida Kahlo.
Yes.
The colors. Oh, you look so gorgeous with your own outfit to your creation. Wow. This is insane. So, well, obviously, you're a true artist in a Renaissance woman. Can we buy those? Advise all our friends watching, because you have thousands.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. I am in the process, as we speak, creating a line of yarn. I'm getting together with a company called Frost Yarn, and we're going to create a line of yarn. And I am doing a knit and crochet pattern book with stories and patterns to the designs that I've created. I'm very excited. It's something that I've been working on. My whole pandemic has been spent on
Well,
this.
but that's the positive side of pandemic. I mean, everybody's depressed, pandemic, so what? You know, there's a lot of positive sides to it. And, you know, as we
Allowed
said,
me to explore other areas of my creativity.
that's right. We don't pivot, we crochet. That's going to be my new word. I'm crocheting. That green jacket you had.
Yes, that's
if you
knitted
were-
on big jumbo knitting needles. They're like thick as
Yes, as my nipples.
like the Louisville Slugger. They're big, thick knitting needles, and that's why it knits up so quickly. But that was fun to make.
I got to say, dear friends, you may see me with that jacket at some stage if
We'll talk
you're
afterwards.
willing to sell it. Maybe sign up. I give you cases of LV Cabernet, and maybe we exchange against the
Barter.
process, the real way.
Definitely, I love it.
So one of the other things you're very involved with, and we want you to do a little other noise with your beautiful voice later before we part ways, but you're very much involved as well with a cause that we extremely passionate about. We enormous supporters, you know, and this is, I think, very important to the world today more than ever is Black Lives Matters. So tell us about all the things you're doing within this spectrum and how can all of us help to really build equality, diversity, recognition, and all walks of life being welcome to the table?
Well, I understand the question, but let me just say, it's not my job to educate you.
Yes,
It's your job to educate you.
that's
And
what.
your when that kind of onus is put on me, it's annoying. But I have written a song called "The New Frontier," which
Yes,
I have performed, and every time I perform it, and all proceeds are donated to the Black Lives Matter uh, Foundation. Um, I'm just, it's difficult because you know, this whole issue on police brutality that I have been experiencing, and my brothers and my uncles and my cousins have
yeah,
been, and my friends have been experiencing their whole lives. It's only now that the spotlight has been put on the issue, and
tragic.
and it, because of the tragic way it was brought to bear, it's sad. But I'm so grateful that finally we are being seen and heard,
Yeah.
and people of color are realizing that they have to stand up for themselves, because no one is going to stand up for us. We
Absolutely.
all have to stand up for ourselves. And now my Asian brothers and sisters are getting the brunt of brutality. So it's about, I don't know how it is in France, but in this country, there's a fear of Black people. And And I think it's just because a lot of white people don't even know Black people. They don't even have them, except that one Black friend at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's like if you know someone, then it's hard to stereotype them, because the person you know is not like the stereotype you have. So there's no way to figure that. There's no way to equalize that. So you have to say, well, maybe they're not all this, or maybe they're not all that, you know? So I think the more aware you make yourself, the more uh, the more you can do to make room, instead of the nepotism, instead of hiring your nephew or your son. Can't maybe there's a Black employee that has skills that you can hone, or you can set that person up to be the next in line, because Black people have traditionally not been given the opportunity.
That's right.
And that's all we're asking for, just the opportunity to succeed. And we will.
And I'm with you 1,000,000%. And not that you haven't taken it. I mean, success has come, and the proven is in the history, and the proof is in all those amazing, incredible, from artists to athletes to political figures to entrepreneurs to, and it's not just, if I may say, Black Lives Matters. Obviously, we big fan, as you know, we big donors. We donate a lot of phenomenal efforts through wines we sell, to, as you do with your song, but to as well Asian and Indians and all colors. I think we all
Oh,
matter.
yes, yes, yes.
In addition to, but I want to go back as well, because I know you have a lot of things tonight. Your single is on the top of the game in music right now. So I think we cannot escape to go back to music, and thank you for doing all you're doing for Black Lives Matters. And we are with you, from John Legend and the wines you're drinking, that Cabernet is a big supporter. We have a wine named JCB Unity, Saida, that donates all the proceeds to, African American entrepreneurs in the wine world, in the hospitality world. Oh,
Cool.
big time. We've donated tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars for that, and we're going to continue because it's exponential. It's never ending. We want to keep going. But tell us about, you're on the top chart again.
My single dance chart. Can you play the one line?
Yeah, we want to hear it.
What were you
I had a preview, so I know my body's already vibrating. Look at my shoulders. I'm dancing.
I'll
My-
sing it before we. I'll sing it on our way out because I'm so. I mean, this is a song I recorded like 30. Anyway, I was younger then, and I recorded this song that became #1 on the dance charts, and it was produced by a really hot DJ at the time named Jelly Bean, who was dating Madonna at the time.
of course.
Yeah, it was. He. The song came from, again, the Quincy Jones connection. Quincy Jones, his dear friend Sidney Poitier was making his directorial debut on a film called Fast Forward, right?
Yeah.
And in this film, the song called Do You Want It Right Now, played in this movie. But you didn't hear me singing because it played for 15 seconds in the guitar solo. So it became a #1 dance record, but you never heard it in its entirety in the film. So long story short, 30-something years later, these DJs in Australia did a dance remix, and it's just going up the charts. It's topping the charts now, and I'm just so stoked. There's several mixes going around because each DJ has his own genre, music. So they did a mix in their genre. There are 4 of them, and I'm just excited about, still being current. After
You are.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And how do you stay?
Everything has a life of its own, and there's no way to predict when it'll go away or when it'll come back.
And that's the beauty of who you are. You keep being an inspiration. You keep being on the top. So what is, and you're going to sing it for us in a moment, but what is your dream?
I want to win an Oscar.
Okay.
I want to win a Grammy. No, I've already got the Grammy. I want to win an Oscar, a Tony,
Grammy you have.
and an Emmy. Yes. I want to be a GOAT.
And you have the statuette. You have the statuette. You're one of the few who has it. That's a big deal.
You can't see it.
We cannot see it. You got to show it to us. It's a sexy shape. But that's so cool. So what besides that, there's one more. Oh yeah, look at there, baby. Yeah.
I Love You I Do for Jennifer Hudson.
Congratulations. Now, how do you get, maybe you tell us, give us a clue about how your mind functions, because you have such a great, phenomenal artistic mind and personality. How do you get your inspiration? What do you advise to all of us out there watching you tonight, in this month of April, which is all about transformation, all about renewal, all about a new year of 2021, which could be very exciting for many of us. Where do you seek it? Where do you get it? And how do you transform an inspiration into an idea?
I get ideas from everywhere, from life, from walking down the street, from overhearing conversations at lunch over coffee, from seeing a billboard or something in a magazine or a line from a movie. It comes from everywhere. And I always take a moment and jot that down.
Okay. So you
Just
take
like
notes.
Man in the Mirror. 2 years later, flipping through the book, there it is. Because I'd written it down. If I hadn't, would have been nothing. Nothing to draw from. You use the life that you're living to draw from. And then write about your life. Write about what you know. Write about what you know. And Quincy Jones taught me something that I will never ever forget. And it's a lesson that I teach every songwriter that asks me how I write songs.
Yes.
Quincy Jones taught me that the best songwriters are rewriters. I'm never satisfied with the first couple of lyrics that I come up with. I'm always trying to hone. So every line is the best that line can be. And when I heard that Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton did the same thing, that's when I knew I was on the right track. I just like making, I like making lyrics that are clever. Like I would have. I mean, God bless Megan the Stallion, but I would never have written body yada 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 body yada yada. That's just not, It's just I got a little more to say than that. So, and God bless it. There's room for that, and then there's room for what I do as well. So that's that.
Such great advice. Now, is this wine inspiring you?
We shall see. What I come up with in my office a little later on. This is really delicious, John. Tell John I said, hey.
Well, he may be watching you, and I'll make sure he gets that segment because you know each other, you friends.
That's right.
That's the cool part. So as you sip,
How long have you been doing this, Jean-Charles?
before you perform, because you're going to have to do a little noise for us on your single, tell us what you feel on the palate as you swallow this wine. Tell me what John is telling to you. What is he saying to you? What is he communicating to you? What is he giving you as his liquid of love?
It's really smooth, and both these wines make my palate react in a different way.
Uh-huh.
They're all very exciting in my mouth.
Ooh.
Not happening right now. A lot of notes I'm picking up. I'm tasting woody, and I don't really know. I don't know
That's
enough
great.
about wine to describe what I'm tasting, but it's delicious, and it makes me want to have more. It makes me want to swallow more and more.
Well, we want to have more of you. I never want to leave you. Hopefully we'll see each other soon physically. But
Jean-Charles, I would absolutely love that.
me too. And your husband is so charming and fabulous as well.
That's why I married him.
To see such a great couple. So do me a favor. One favor today, besides being you, and it's so exciting for us to share such electric, magnetic personality, because the world gets inspired. Looking at you, we get excited. Then we get inspired. Then we get energized. You have all those skills. I want you to give us a little preview of that single. Of that song. Are you ready?
Right now.
Right now. Because
Do
then
you want it right now? It's called.
right now, baby. Yeah,
Do
baby.
you want it right now? Right now. Do you know how lucky I feel I am to find a man who loves me as I am? You never try to change a single part of me. You're easy to love with those qualities. Every day you teach me more and more. Inside me, I'm all aglow. Every night you think of only me. Oh, you keep me satisfied. You do all the things I like. I want you. Oh, I want you so. Do you want it right now? Oh, I can't let go. I want you so bad. Give me all you have. I can show you how. Do you want it right now?
I want it right now. You keep me satisfied. I love it. Wow. Unbelievable. Thank you immensely. Top billing, dear friends. The singles. She's on top of the game. So, Saida, last question for you. And thank you dearly for doing this. This is amazing. Not only
Thanks
how
for
to
having me,
write,
man. I really appreciate it.
and you so well know how to sing it. This is amazing. I'm going to replay that moment probably every night for myself and my wife and my daughters, who cannot wait to meet you because they're right there, and they cannot make the 9-year-old twins, and they love singing. So when you come to our house, we're going to practice.
I love it. I love it.
And I'd love for you, Saida, you're such an inspiration, from the Campton background in LA to your mother that you described, and your father, to who you became, to your name change, to your revelation, to your talent, to your awakening, to your singing career, to your writing career, to your knitting and fashionable career, to who you are today. Constant evolution. Would you please send to all of us in the next few minutes a huge message. And remember, right tonight, people from all over the world are watching. It could be Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, Northern America. We all here. So what message do you have?
Okay, if you are watching me right now, then what I'm about to say was meant for you to hear. There will be naysayers. There will be those who tell you, can't do that. There will be those who say, who does she think she is? Just take all that. If you don't get that, you're not doing it right.
Saida, this is amazing. I'm so much with you. Hey, God gave me two hands. I'm raising both for you. You're a star. You phenomenal. You're a movement on your own. And you know what is so cool? Not only to have met you, thanks to Lauren, but to become friends. You know, our home in Napa Valley and Sonoma and France is open to you and your husband.
And we can move about the cabin. We certainly do need a visit. Yes.
Hey, you don't need the cabin. Your room is ready. And I'm going to have some knitting for my grandmother, which is good, but not as colorful as yours.
I love it.
We will see you soon in the heart of the wine country. Thank you for being who you are. Congratulations.
Merci beaucoup.
C'est incroyable. To love and to passion. Saida, dear Garrett, yes.